Hi, I'm Simon and this is Lot 76 Cars reporting from the Lancaster Classic Motor Show. Going to show you some absolutely fantastic cars today. Come with me and let's see some of those 3,000 cars that are on display. So this is Sarah Crabtree's brown Lotus Elan 1.3 HL. Let's see if we can catch Sarah and get her to tell us a little more about the car. So I'm with Sarah Crabtree and this is her Lotus Elan. I mistakenly said that this car had actually been sold. It hadn't. Tell us about the Lotus Elan.
So the Lotus Elan Ivan is definitely my car. We did raffle off a similar vehicle. We raffled off a 1.7 HL earlier on in the year, but that was beige and that's called Igor. So
that's the confusion then. So hopefully we put that right.
Yeah, so Ivan is definitely still mine. It is here to stay, yeah. Any
big plans for him for 2023?
Yeah, hopefully I'm going to get his diff done because he's got a very noisy diff.
A noisy diff, that's a problem, diff. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Oh. Apart from that, no big plans because he's, as you can see, he's pretty well much perfect.
Yeah, so. I saw your daughter brought it to Festival of the Unexceptional, I think, so you trust other people to drive this car then?
Well, I definitely trust my daughter to drive
Well, of course.
Yeah, and I'm all about getting kids into cars as well. So we don't want to curb their enthusiasm. At 20, 20-year-old girl who wants to drive a russet brown Lotus Elan, I'm gonna back her all the way.
Excellent.
That's what she wants to do.
Good to hear that.
So many kids are, their enthusiasm is curbed. We need to just push them to do it.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Sarah. Powered by this 325cc Villiers engine is this Frisky Sport microcar from 1957. You think you could sort of pick that up and put it in your pocket and take it home? It's lovely, isn't it? Now, rarer than any Ferrari is this 1989 Zastava Jugoslavia. It's not the most mint car, I understand, but it's probably one of the rarest, certainly that I've seen. Also in Hall 1 are Drivetribe, so let's take a look at what they brought. They brought their V10 M5 wagon. This will be one that I think you'll have seen on the channel that had the manual conversion. That's a stunning looking car, isn't it? A lot of time spent on that car to get to the standard it is today, but a real credit due to them. And really a rare car, as you say. So I'm here with Mike Fernie from Drivetribe. I'm just talking about the success of the channel, which has grown beyond all proportion. We've seen the work that was done on the V10 M5, the manual conversion, I think, a lot of work to bring it to standard. The one that fascinated me the most was the Rover. I mean, finding your old Rover 45 almost by accident.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be just a chance of a lifetime. We all want to find our first car. How did that feel?
It was a crazy coincidence. Literally driving home to Edinburgh for Christmas and then going past a military barracks, I catch sight of this red Rover and I'm like, oh, I used to have one of them. And then I see the reg and it literally was my car, just abandoned on the side of the road. So cool that we managed to rescue it and restore it back to such a nice condition. But I didn't want to keep it. I'd already had my memories with it, so we did let it go. But it was amazing.
I was going to say, was it difficult to let it go after, did you sort of want to recreate the places you've been to, the adventures you had in that car?
You'd think, the thing is, like, people assume you only have good memories with a car. But I think also, like, some people have some bad memories. So with that Rover, I had some great times and some bad ones. So to be honest, it was great getting the car back into nice condition, but I'd had my memories, it was kind of time to go. And we did it for charity. We gave all the money for to military charity. And so that was way
What did the car make in the end?
I think, if I remember correctly, I was $7.5 grand for a Rover 25.
That's fantastic, isn't it? And what's the plans next year? I know you've got your V10 project, V10 MX5.
Yes.
Which is that's coming along? Some news on that soon?
It's been coming along for far too long. But there's been good news recently, so I reckon in a couple of weeks' time we'll be filming the next installment.
Oh, fantastic.
We are actually going to sell our V10 M5.
Oh, wow.
So we're about to buy the replacement for that. So yeah, some new fresh cars coming to the Drivetribe.
Fantastic.
Channel.
Thank Mike. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's take a look on the Maguire's club showcase, where the best of the best from the clubs around the UK are actually shown. Here's a first in class at the RS Owners National Day. This fantastic RS 1600i, a little bit more power than the XR3i of the time. and built, I believe, for some homologation purposes. This car is absolutely stunning. Look, there's even a mirror underneath, so you can see how stunning it is. I wish my car looked like that underneath, guys. And look at those front arches and those brakes. So really lovely condition, and an absolute credit. Let's go and see what else is around. Successor to the Sirocco was the Corrado initially, but this was the offering based on the Golf, I think the Golf Mark IV platform. This is a run-out 1995 Corrado VR Storm. What a stunning car that is. A beautiful Ferrari 250 GT from 1961. Let's get back down to earth with this Volvo 123 Amazon. Look at the condition of that one. I mean, honestly, the engine is better than my car on the outside. That's fantastic, isn't it? Now, exactly 30 years old and with 160,000 miles on the clock is a Golf Mark I Carmen Clipper Cabriolet called Katie. So, hello Katie. What a stunning condition for that mileage, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. From the second year of production is this 1960 Austin 7, not the Mini, but the Austin 7 version. This one is in fantastic order, as I say. You know, it's a car that was built in 1960. I mean, that's incredible. Something that's 62 years old, isn't it? Now, it's absolutely fantastic to see this concourse-winning Mercedes 190e. Okay, I must admit some vested interest, as I have one, as many viewers know. This was the best of the best at the Mercedes-Benz 70th anniversary concourse event, and of course it was 40 years ago at the Paris show in 1982 that Mercedes launched the 190 and the 190e. Absolutely fantastic to see it here today. Now, E30s have become really desirable cars, no less so than this one. It's relatively low powered. It's a 316 rather than the I, so I guess it will be a carburetted car. And it wears its 130,500 miles very well, doesn't it? What a lovely colour, and particularly, I really like those steel wheels. So welcome to the Mercedes stand at the show. Good to see this CL here from 2015. Absolutely lovely car. And it's a big car as well, isn't it? You imagine parking that one. Certainly need those rear parking sensors, wouldn't you? So to commemorate Sterling Moss's win in the Mille Miglia race, apologies for the horrendous pronunciation of that, is this 722 R129 Mercedes SL Roadster. SL for Sport Light, and this is a lovely, lovely car, isn't it? Famously driven by Ayrton Senna in a Formula One supporting race for drivers current and aspiring, is this Mercedes-Benz. This is the later 2516. It was never called the Cosworth, it's just that Cosworth did most of the engineering on the head, I believe, certainly on the 2316 car. Again, as I mentioned earlier, celebrating its 40th birthday. This is in this almondine red, and it's a stunning colour under the lights anyway. Famously owned by James Hunt and spending some of its life on bricks, that particular example. This is a W116 450 SEL 6.9 litre. So this is quite a car, and certainly quite a car back in its day as well. And a lovely 1969 280 SL Pagoda, so named because of its disc roof. Mercedes SL, lovely car. This is one of just over 1,000 Porsche 924s that were actually produced to celebrate the win of Porsche in the Le Mans race. Now, you'll know the 924, unfortunately, sometimes is tagged with the fact that it was a VW. In fact, maybe the block is from a VW LT van, but maybe that's about it. It's still a Porsche at the end of the day, and this one's in absolutely superb condition. So E46 BMWs are getting a lot more attention these days as the E30s have moved very much out of reach. This one's from 2001 in a very unusual factory Phoenix yellow. Now, this is a very early BMW 1800 NK race car, I think originally built in Germany, and really this model was the predecessor to the 5 Series, at least in production trim. Now, on the Civil Service Motoring Association club stand is this fantastic 205 XS from 1990. This is the lesser known one, far lesser known than the more popular GTIs. It's still pretty peppy, got all of the handling benefits of that 205 chassis. Very, very lightweight, so well sub maybe 900 kilos. What a fantastic car, and as I said, really rare. Looking a bit further on, there's also another rare car, and we've got here a Cavalier Sports Hatch GLS from 1979. So it's a sport hatch, so it's legitimate for me to take a look from the back of this car, and that hatch makes that car absolutely really, really, really usable. And I love that colour. It's so 1970s, isn't it? So the Jaguar Drivers Club showing the few cars here today. Here's the aluminium bodied X350, really overshadowed because the styling was so similar to outgoing cars. A lovely Mark II in a solid red paint finish, and then also a later E-Type, this one in quite an unusual colour. I think the colour's shared with the XJ6 that's Sir William Lyon's own personal car. It's maybe not a colour you'd select today, and I'm not quite sure what it's called, but great to see it here today. It's a bit different to the usual example. An absolutely lovely Alpha Sud. This is a TI looking at the front light treatment. We've then got a racing Sud there, and I'm keen to look at the Sprint. A colleague of mine had one of these many years ago. Unfortunately, it's sort of dissolved in front of our eyes. This one's perfectly preserved, or certainly well restored. Don't you just love that colour? Where have all the green cars gone? And then we have got, looks like a later Sprint here as well. Yeah, it is. Now on the marker stand you'll find this Adams probe. Now this is what I think back in the late 60s, early 70s we thought of a car of the 2000s might actually look like. Wow, it looks futuristic even today, doesn't it? It would be welcomed on a set of a sci-fi movie, I think. What a fantastic looking car. A little bit more exotic is this Bertone design 1978 Ferrari Dino GT4, so carrying the Dino name, and very practical in that it's a four-seater. Lovely condition. I know these rot for fun, but this one's well preserved or well restored. Lovely. So built on a shortened Audi Quattro platform and designed, I believe, by Peter Birtwistle, who then went on to work for a number of other brands including Mazda, is this Audi Sport Quattro S1 E2. Oh, this is fantastic, isn't it? You know, now this is a relatively rare beast, a 1987 Renault 11, which is rare enough, but it's a Renault 11 Turbo. I don't think I've ever seen a turbo version of this. It's in absolutely superb condition. It's a show-winning vehicle, and I think if you take a look at it, you'll see under bonnet is as clean as any new vehicle. What an absolutely superb car, isn't it? Let's just take a look from the back at that trademark hatch. Yeah, it's in fantastic condition.
Well, it's getting pretty busy here now, but apologies for being put into shot. Here's a rally prepared Citroën SM. Doesn't that look intriguing? A fantastic Lancia Beta Monte Carlo Spider. Apparently the first cars were known as Betas, later dropping the name just in favour of Monte Carlo. What a stunning car. Let's just take a closer look at that one. It's got a huge sunroof and an absolutely delicious interior. Isn't that nice? One car you can pretty much wash out when you finish using it is this Citroën Mahari, which I believe is 2CV based. This lovely yellow creation. You see plenty of these still around in France with its corrugated side. I guess it could only be French, couldn't it really? What a fantastic looking vehicle.
Now this next car may look like a Renault 5, but in actual fact it's a booted version of the Renault 5 sold in Spain called the Renault 7. And fun fact is the front and rear screens are identical.
I'm an absolutely huge fan of the Peugeot 405 launched in '88. This is a late edition 94 MI16 Le Mans, so it's got the facelift body where the boot was actually dropped at the back for a lower loading height, as you can see there. A lot of these MI16s donated their engines to 205, so unfortunately not so many exist, but honestly this Pininfarina design 405 to me is one of the prettiest
saloon cars I've ever had the pleasure to have as a company car. Apologies, it's getting busy and noisy here. So here's a 1977 Peugeot 104ZS in like a signal orange. It's rare you're going to see one of these cars, and certainly rare to see a car in that colour these days. It's so 70s, isn't it? And here there's the best in show 86 Renault 5 Turbo. These cars are really special. I think rallied by people like Jean Regnetti, mid-engine, no rear seats. I guess only the later version of this would be the Clio V6. Difficult to see too much inside there because it's darkened windows. But what a fantastic rally-like silhouette that car has. So absolutely superb, isn't it? Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what this was. I knew it was 2CV based, but it's based and built on a kit, quite a professional looking kit, and it's called the Citroën Manx. What an unusual little car. What a great base for a kit car. As featured on Car SOS is this stunning late Fiat X19. What a lovely car, what a beautiful colour combination. So some other familiar faces from the YouTuber here. We've got Furious Driving, we've got Max 400, complete with added lack appeal, recovered from its recent escapade with the rust and managed to get the car here today, which is fantastic. So if you manage to drop by Matt, that will be good. So there he is. And we've also got the Hubnut 2CV, complete with an exhaust now after its escapade earlier on this week. It's recovered and made it all the way here to talk a little bit about the Rover 400. Had a bit of a disaster, I think last week, was it, Matt? But you've recovered from that now.
It was last week when I was actually doing the preparation for this very show. I did a tiny repair on this sill to get it through the MOT. I wanted to just roll it onto some ramps to just take it off and do it better. And one of the ramps slipped, and as I got to the top, the other ramp on the far side, the wheel just tipped it up. With the lacquer, there is surface rust appearing. So I need to get all that gone, get it at good metal, which it is pretty good, and then repaint it. But I want to keep it back in night fire red because that's the best. I think I need to lower it because this 90s ride height is embarrassing. And also I need to change the brakes because the brakes I noticed on the way up here are pretty awful. So I'll do something with the brakes, maybe some EBC green stuff and different discs or something. Maybe change the wheels.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
Just make it a few little minor upgrades, but just make it the car it kind of deserves to be.
To the uneducated, it might look like a Volvo 850. It actually belongs to Jeff Buys Cars channel, and it's got a split personality, and it even says that. So there we go, the split personality Volvo. This end is the Evolo. Yeah, okay, yeah, you saw it right. Whereas the other side is, I think that could do with the machine polish, Jeff. Could do with the machine polish, my friend. Or maybe it's gone too far. This side is a John Player Special Racing evocation. Evocation, is that the right word? I don't know. Anyway, Jeff, you tell me. Looks fantastic, mate. This 1975 Marina in Alkanite is actually a convertible. It's not a Crayford. I think it was built with Crayford involvement, but a company called Mumford, a Southwest-based dealer, owned the rights to this and manufactured something like about 70 of these. I've never seen one of these before, although my claim to fame is I did have a Marina Coupe back in the day. That was all going well until I jacked it up and the jack went through the floor, but there you go. Story for another day. What a super car. An absolute survivor is this Cinnabar Red Ital HL. It's got the stripes on the side which came with this particular HL model, and wait for it, it's got just over 8,000 miles from new. Absolutely stunning, isn't it? You just don't see these about. There's a handful of these left on the road, maybe a few more sold. A lovely late series 1 Austin Allegro 1975 in Citroën yellow with the all-important Quartic steering wheel. When's the last time that you saw a Mark III Astra F? This one's an Arctic, extremely low mileage from new, and honestly, I don't know if the pictures show this, but it is as new condition. What a stunning car it is. So this is the executive collection, if you like, and you've got the E39 BMW. and you've got a pre-facelift Rover 827 SI. I do like the pre-facelift cars, especially as this is a fastback as well. And in actual fact, this is the one that's been restored on the Car and Classics YouTube channel. So check out the progress with that car. It's a very, very nice car. Absolutely lovely Mark II Astra GTE. Fantastic looking car with a red top engine, I think double overhead cam 16 valve engine. In outstanding condition, isn't it? Now I do like Bristol. This is a 61406, one of just 174 cars built. That's a stunning car, isn't it? Now this lovely MGZT is, apart from being a very nice car, is one of the limited run of V8s with the 4.6 litre Mustang engine, putting out, I guess, 260 horsepower. What a lovely looking car that one is. Supposedly Princess Anne's favourite car is the Scimitar. These are the later Middlebridge Scimitars which were produced in the post-Reliant days. Now, one of the first cars on the Lancaster Insurance Pride of Ownership standard is stunning Gilburn GT from 1964, built by the Welsh sports car company Gilburn, sold in component form to be finished by owners and to save on purchase tax at the time. This is a stunning example, isn't it? Absolutely lovely. Fantastic. So this beautiful Elan Plus 2 isn't any Elan Plus 2, that would be good enough, but in actual fact this beautiful silver Elan was a car used as a company car by Graham Hill during his time at Lotus and given to him, I believe, after he won his 4th win at Monaco. What a stunning car that is, and what a special car it is. So Ian Croft's going to tell us about this particular vehicle, so let's just remind ourselves it's Graham Hill's company car, an Elan Plus 2 from 68. Tell us how you came to buy this. Was it Graham Hill's car that you wanted? Or?
It was Graham Hill. The Graham Hill connection was the attraction. I saw an article about it coming up for auction and went to the auction website. I never went to the auction. I bought it online, hoping all the time that my internet connection would hold up, which it did, and I was luckily the winning bidder. So after Graham Hill stopped driving for Team Lotus at the end of 1969, he left Lotus because he'd had a terrible accident and broken both his legs, and Colin Chapman didn't want his services anymore. Graham Hill left Lotus, gave the car back to them because it belonged to Lotus, and Lotus sold it through their dealer in Brentwood in November 1970. I managed to track down and meet the second owner, who told me about his 6 years of ownership. Never tracked down the next owner. The final owner before me owned it for an awfully long time, most of which time it was left standing in his garage, deteriorating. And he was the one who sent it to auction. He only sold, he's like many people who intend to restore a car, never quite get round to it. His daughter wanted some money to pay for her wedding, and he sold it at auction, and I was lucky enough to buy it.
So still on the Lancaster Pride of Ownership stand, it is fantastic 1981 Ford Fiesta Popular, and it's got a genuine 3,500 miles from new. Yeah, you heard it. It's a dove grey exterior colour with Indian vinyl. The car's been very sparingly used and recently came out of a private collection. Wow, those were the days. Vinyl seats. It's BMW Bauer Cabriolet, 3 Series Cabriolet, E21 if I'm not mistaken, in absolutely stunning order, isn't it? What a stunning car that one is. Now this is a Nissan Cherry Europe. What a strange marriage of an Alfa Romeo engine and a Nissan body. Who would have thought it? So there were two versions, Nissan Cherry Europe and the Alfa Romeo Arna. These are really rare cars. Lovely to see. Sale at Graham Hunt is this stunning Volvo P1800 ES, the hatchback. You don't seldom see these cars, and this is certainly one in very good. And the eyes have it, guys. It's the Lamborghini Miura. Not really a practical classic or a day-to-day one, but just look at the beauty of that stunning Tony styling. This Lilac Beauty was built to commemorate the 1,000,000th Morris Minor, and it's one of the millionth Morris Minors that were sent out to dealers to celebrate this. Several cars were sent to every dealer in the UK at the time. Now the challenge, it says, is find another one. It's a left-hand drive, 26,500 mile, 1960 Austin Healey Mark 1 Frog Eye Sprite. That's a mouthful. 27,950, it can be yours. Now you know the world's gone mad when somebody wants £95,000 for the Sierra Cosworth, and it's got 11,000 miles from new. And restored over 20 years is this lovely Fiat 500. What a fantastic car. Drove here from Oxford. Ambitiously, I thought it might be able to get 60 miles an hour, but 50, sort of 55 is about where it's at. But slow but sedate progress, but what could be more fun than a Fiat 500? That's lovely. And some more microcars here. These are Fiskies. It's difficult to get across on camera how small these are, but I think if I took one home for my son, I think it could probably wouldn't look too out of place behind the wheel of that one. Wow. I've seen these, but only in I Spy books, I think. And this is a barn find Escort Cosworth, 39,995. I'm not sure how much of that you're paying for the dust that's on it, but there you go. It's here if you want it. So Simon Templar's arrived, and this is a Jensen built car, because if you look at the front bumper bars, how they turn upwards, the overriders, this is one built by Jensen before the contract or the manufacturer was taken in-house by Volvo. Now I've never seen one of these before. It's an Alfa Romeo Tipo Sprint, 2600 Sprint. Just 578 examples were made in right-hand drive apparently. And I've never seen one. Well, it's not surprising if there's only 578 made. Wow, what a pretty car. Not one, not two, but three Lancer Stratos. Oh, like buses, they've all come along at once. What super cars they are, aren't they, guys? Awesome rally cars, awesome road cars. So the Peel P50 is officially, I believe, the smallest car ever produced, and it's one that Jeremy Clarkson drove through the BBC offices before he parted company with the BBC, and this is it. So this lovely Saab 96 V4 uses the bought-in engine from Ford of Germany, fitted in the Taunus of the same period. By this time using an engine still derived, I believe, from Triumph, is this Saab 900 Turbo from the pre-GM days, while Saab was still relatively independent. And then next to it we've got the later cars under the stewardship of General Motors, when the Saab 900 and then subsequently 93 was launched. And here's a Talbot Rapier, Solara Rapier, one of the last incarnations of the car that started out as the Chrysler Alpine, designed by Roy Axe, and this two-tone version was their run-out model, I believe. Now Talbot were well ahead of the time with this Matra Ranchero, which really was an SUV before we even knew what SUVs meant. Quite an innovative car. Grand Thrift Auto has got one that he's restoring, but you rarely see these on the road now. Sharing many parts with the contemporary Citroën SM, Citroën owned Maserati for a period, is this Maserati Merak. So this is a recreation of a Citroën XM Safari, which was used by the BBC, called the Roving Eye, and I think for use for horse racing and for outdoor events. Now maybe we can even have a look. There's a live feed going on, the car's open, So if it's possible, we can just take a quick look inside. So this one's been converted. It's got all the right period equipment that an outside broadcast vehicle would have. Unfortunately, many of the original vehicles were scrapped, or are all scrapped. So this one's been recreated from drawings and pictures, I guess. Fantastic, isn't it? We've got the up on the roof. We've got the full camera setup up there. Not sure I'd fancy operating that sat on the roof, but I guess somebody did in the time. And then you can see the live feed from the vehicles at the Classic Car Show now. Awesome, isn't it? So I've got the opportunity to talk to Paul about this very car and this recreation, so I'm going to do that now, so bear with us while we just introduce Paul onto the camera. Just give you the microphone, Paul. Just keep that on somewhere. Paul, tell us about this very, very special Citroen XM. So I thought it was original, but you tell me it's a recreation.
Yeah, all the BBC Roving Eye cars ended up going to scrap. So they had 2 DSs, then they had a CX, and then they had an XM. We looked around at what we could perhaps recreate, and the only car available I could find from a dealer up north was an XM. So we decided to do the XM, as that was the only vehicle available. And essentially, it's actually vinyl wrapped, not sprayed, because we thought that was the best thing to do. The camera on the top is an original.
Wow.
That's Philips LDK5. Original camera. The mounting's all by Vinton, is all original. And the internals, because we had no pictures of the inside of this vehicle, are based on the Citroen DS that they had. So the layout inside, with all the monitors, waveform monitors, test equipment, is all original from a Citroen DS.
Wow.
A few bits we've actually had to reproduce because they're no longer available or gone to scrap. And now we've come across a Citroen CX, and we're actually doing a Citroen CX as well, because I always wanted a green BBC vehicle. So that'll be in the green livery. This camera then will transfer to the CX because that's the right camera for the Citroen CX. We've since found some pictures of the inside. We have the right camera for this vehicle, so next time we show this vehicle, it'll be slightly different configuration. So it's a work in progress as and when we get more information about the history of the vehicle.
Fantastic. The Jensen Owners Club stand, a really well supported club. Met the guys maybe a couple of months back at the anniversary of the CV8. This first car here is a Jensen Healey, produced I believe with a Vauxhall engine from memory, or Vauxhall block, Lotus engine, Lotus head, but during the stewardship of Donald Healey. Next we've got the CV8, which is a beautiful car. This is the anniversary we're celebrating recently. This is a stunning car. I'm not sure if the colour's original. And this is a 541. Now I reckon I've seen this car for sale on Car and Classic, and yes, I did look at the price, and no, I couldn't afford it. But this 541R, I believe for rack and pinion, is from 1960, and this you'll remember is where the radiator grille opens or closes for improved cooling. And here's another car we saw on that day. This car has completed a trek of South America. It's completed the Inca Trail some years ago, so really well attended stand, and if you've got a Jensen, the Jensen Owners Club is certainly well worth joining. Built to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the MX-5 is this beautiful blue car. This is a Mark II car, so obviously lost the pop-up lights at that stage. Beautiful looking car, still retains that fantastic MX-5 drivetrain and that well-renowned gear shift, but obviously pop-up lights don't necessarily appeal to everybody. Now this Vauxhall Viceroy shooting brake is unique. So the Viceroy fitted between the Carlton and the Senator, and so far as I'm aware was only produced as a saloon, but this Balmoral green one, and there's a clue, was actually built for Queen Elizabeth. So she'd had a history of using 6-cylinder Crestas and other shooting brakes in the Vauxhall range at the time, and this was built specially for her. What a fantastic story, and it is a one of one. The colour's unique, the car's unique, and the fact that it's a Viceroy makes it also unique. Super story, super car. Purchased by the owner for the princely sum of £1,300. back in 2005 is this fantastic Vauxhall Carlton GSI 3000. I think police forces like these as much as senators. I'm sure these were the base cars from which the Carltons were actually converted. Absolutely superb order, this car, and brought up to its current standard by the owner. Lovely. Now here's one of the diminutive Honda S800s. Both the Roadsters, and they've got the fixed head coupes here as well. I believe these have something like a chain-driven drivetrain, something quite unusual. I think there's more information on the car that Johnny Smith used to have. Nevertheless, stunning cars and rare cars. And quite pretty little cars as well, aren't they? Whilst the Toyota Celica nameplate's not used, there's a long history of Toyota Celicas right the way through the generations here. And keeping the Japanese theme, here we've got the Mazda RX-7 rotary engine sports car. And quite aptly making the rotary engine the star of the show. So Toyota started importing cars into the UK in 1966. This is a 1970 Toyota Corona Mark II. There weren't many that came into the country, and let alone that many that survived, so you're probably unlikely to see another one. That's in lovely condition. Now here's the Mark I transit van converted from left-hand drive to right-hand drive on the Wheeler Dealer Show. Now this is Johnny Smith's original Japanese taxi converted to a lowrider. What a very unique vehicle that one is. So Johnny spent a lot of time and effort bringing that car over to the UK and converting it to a lowrider. And you know what, whilst I might not be a fan of lowrider cars in general, it does suit that look, doesn't it, really? And from the Auto Alex channel, Alex Kirsten's MX-5, nicknamed Phil. Hello, Phil. So here's a lovely little collection of Opel GTs, all pretty much left-hand drive, never officially imported into the UK. I think sold in the States, sold in Europe. They've got fantastic rotating lights. So here are those fantastic rotating lights. So let's put them down and let's put them back up again. Yeah, you saw it here first. Worth buying an Opel GT just for that, isn't it? So thanks for joining me on Lot 76 cars at the Lancaster Classic Car Show at the NEC. I hope you've enjoyed the cars we've seen and the numerous interviews we've had today. Please like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to you joining me on the next one. Thanks for watching.